This changed everything, and almost nobody realized it was happening until it was already too late. The moment didn't look historic at first. It didn't feel like the kind of turning point that ends careers and reshapes an entire league. It looked like just another shot, just another cheer, just another highlight in a season full of noise. But behind that moment, something much bigger was unfolding. Caitlin Clark wasn't just playing basketball anymore, she was shifting power. And the people who once controlled that power didn't see it coming. Because while the cameras focused on the court, the real story was happening in boardrooms, in quiet conversations, in decisions being made by people who never dribbled a ball but controlled everything that mattered. Networks, sponsors, executives, they were all watching the same thing: the numbers. And the numbers were ruthless. They didn't care about legacy, they didn't care about respect, they didn't care about who paid their dues. They only cared about one thing: attention. And Caitlin Clark was pulling more of it than the entire league combined. While veterans were still arguing about recognition, still fighting for their place, still holding on to a version of the WNBA that no longer existed, something new was rising right in front of them. And instead of adapting, they resisted. Instead of embracing it, they tried to stop it. That's where everything started to fall apart. Because what looked like frustration, what sounded like criticism, was actually fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of becoming irrelevant. Fear of watching everything they built get handed to someone they didn't approve of. The tension wasn't subtle. It showed up in interviews, in body language, in moments on the court that felt just a little too aggressive to be accidental. The hit on Caitlin during that game, everyone saw it. Everyone felt it. And when Angel Reese clapped from the sideline, it wasn't just support for a teammate. It was a message. A signal that this wasn't just competition anymore, it was personal. The league tried to move past it, tried to frame it as intensity, as passion, as part of the game. But fans weren't buying it, because something felt off. Why were the same players who benefited from the attention suddenly trying to push it away? Why were veterans acting like gatekeepers instead of leaders? And the more people asked those questions, the more uncomfortable the answers became. Because behind all the noise, one truth kept getting louder. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player, she was the business. Ticket sales exploding overnight. Arenas moving games just to fit the crowd. Merchandise selling out faster than ever before. Social media numbers that didn't even look real. It was the kind of impact leagues dream about. The kind of moment that's supposed to unite everyone. But instead, it divided them. And while that division grew, the people who actually controlled the future of the league were already making their decision. Quietly, strategically, permanently. NBC didn't make a mistake when they put Caitlin at the center of everything. They made a choice. A calculated, data-driven choice that changed the entire direction of the WNBA. Because when they tested the audience, when they analyzed the engagement, when they broke down every second of viewership, the results weren't close. Not even a little. Caitlin wasn't just leading, she was dominating. And in business, dominance doesn't get debated. It gets rewarded. That's why she was suddenly everywhere. Pre-game shows, NBA broadcasts, commercials, promotions, places where rookies don't belong. Places that are usually reserved for legends. Meanwhile, the actual legends were missing. Not because they weren't great. Not because they didn't deserve it. But because they didn't bring what the networks needed right now. And that realization hit hard. Harder than any foul. Harder than any loss. Harder than any criticism. Because this wasn't about basketball anymore. This was about survival. And for the first time, the veterans weren't the ones in control. They were reacting. They were adjusting. They were trying to figure out how everything slipped away so fast. But by the time they started asking those questions, the answer had already been decided. And then came the moment that confirmed it all, the turning point that nobody inside the league could ignore anymore. It didn't happen on the court. It didn't come from a buzzer beater or a championship game. It came from a contract. A deal that didn't just elevate Caitlin Clark. It redefined value in the WNBA overnight. When the media rights deal dropped, when the billions were announced, when the cameras started pointing in one direction and one direction only, everything became clear. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't hype. This was the new reality. And for the veterans who had spent years building the league, it felt like betrayal. But for the executives, it was simple math. Caitlin Clark brought millions. Others didn't. And in a business that had struggled for decades to stay alive, that difference meant everything. The power shift wasn't coming. It had already happened. You could see it in the empty promotional spots where veteran names used to be. You could feel it in the silence, where their voices used to lead the conversation. You could track it in real time through declining endorsements, shrinking influence, fading relevance. And the hardest part? It wasn't personal. That's what made it even more brutal. Because no one was targeting them. No one was trying to push them out. The system just moved on. And it moved fast. Too fast for anyone to stop it. While some players were still fighting for a bigger share, still negotiating, still believing they had leverage, the truth was slipping through their fingers. The league didn't need everyone anymore. It needed one name, one face, one story that could sell. And that story was already being written without them. Meanwhile, Caitlin wasn't saying anything. She didn't need to. Her presence said enough. Sitting courtside at NBA games, talking with legends, building a brand that existed beyond the WNBA itself. She wasn't just part of the league anymore, she was bigger than it. And that changed everything. Because now, even if the season stopped, even if negotiations failed, even if everything fell apart, she would still win. She would still be visible, still relevant, still growing. And that's when the realization hit. Not just for the fans, but for the players themselves.